So today I want to talk about presence, mindfulness, and how the two are connected and why they're important in the first place. So let's begin with defining presence. Now, presence is a state. It's a state in which you are experiencing heightened awareness of the present moment. In this state, there is a reduction there's a reduction of mental activity, mental chatter, thoughts, because the mind tends to take us away from being in that state of awareness of the present moment. Often what the mind does is have us think about the things that aren't in the present moment, the past and the future. If you really consider it, thoughts, those are the two places where our thoughts reside, the present and the future. With the past, the past and the future. With the past, we were thinking about memories, things that have happened, right? We think about how things could have happened differently. Did it happen the way we wanted it to? With the future comes thinking of the future comes worry. Worrying about if the future is going to go the way that you would like it to. You do not need to think in order to be present. Presence, the state of presence, is accessed when we reduce the thinking and feel. Right? State of presence happens as a result of feeling and being aware of our senses, all of our senses. Now, experiencing this state of presence is important because you'll find that we experience negative emotions as a result of thinking. Again, thinking about the past and the future. In the present moment, and when we are in a state of presence, there's nothing that can cause us to feel any sort of negative emotion. Now, this might be a little bit difficult to grasp just from thinking about it because, again, presence is not something that's understood through thinking, it's understood through feeling. So what I'm looking to do here is help those that are listening to experience the state of presence for themselves, because only when you experience it for yourself can you really understand that negative emotion is a result of thinking. And if we practice coming to a state of presence by, again, reducing that mental chatter and reducing that mental activity, then we avoid experiencing those negative emotions. So let's dive into what mindfulness is and how it's connected back to that state of presence I spoke about. Mindfulness is essentially the practice of being aware of our senses. When we practice mindfulness, what we're doing is attempting to focus in and direct our attention towards our senses and feeling our senses, not thinking about our senses, feeling our senses. And when we do that, what we'll find is, because our attention now is starting to be focused in on our senses and feeling our senses, the mental chatter starts to be reduced. And it's a great feeling, right? Because again, you'll find that there's a sense of peace that's associated with the sense of presence and the practice of mindfulness. So what I encourage you all to do is to, if you haven't already, incorporate mindfulness meditation into your daily routines. Now, mindfulness meditation is simply allocating time to doing nothing but practicing mindfulness, right? So it's worth mentioning that mindfulness is something that we should be practicing throughout our days. We don't need to be meditating in order to practice mindfulness. We can be mindful through all the things that we do in our daily lives. But by allocating time specifically to mindfulness meditation and taking time to do nothing but practice mindfulness, it becomes easier. It becomes easier to practice mindfulness in our day-to-day lives. And you'll find that the more you practice, the more time you spend practicing mindfulness meditation, the more time you'll spend in a state of mindfulness, in a state of presence, and practicing mindfulness in your daily lives. So again, I just want to kind of come back to the importance of being in a state of presence and practicing mindfulness, because I really want to help you understand why this is important in the first place, because then there'll be that greater appeal towards actually practicing these things. So again, I think it's important to understand that negative emotions comes from being disconnected from the present moment and not being in that state of presence, right? Thoughts are what feeds these negative emotions, and in a state of presence, we're reducing the mental chatter and being heightenedly aware of our senses. Those two things kind of go hand in hand. So, I mean, one thing that I find tends to help people with improving their ability to be mindful, improving that skill, is rather than focusing on not thinking, which is a very difficult thing to do, rather focus on your senses. Focus on directing your attention towards your senses. And if you do that, you'll find that the mental chatter just naturally starts to decrease. In a state of presence, only good things are experienced. Joy, beauty, love. These things are experienced when we are connected to the present moment and we don't let our thoughts and our mind take us for a ride into the past or into the future. As you practice mindfulness and as you start to experience what the state of presence feels like, you'll find that for yourself, and you'll experience for yourself that only great things are found in the present moment. Ascenders, if you have any questions with regards to a state of presence, mindfulness, meditation, please feel free to message me about them. Again, I think one of the biggest points that I have is that a lot of these things are better understood when they're experienced and felt rather than spoken about. There's very little we can say to really accurately describe what it feels like being in a state of presence. So of course the best next step for any of you listening is to again incorporate mindfulness meditation into your routines. Consider the idea that being mindful through our daily lives will allow us to feel a greater sense of peace, and I'm confident as you begin to experience these things for yourself, you'll start to see the truth in them. Have a great day.